Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to WCS Europe Season 3 Premier League Round of 16. Such a mouthful. I'm surprised they even managed to get it out of my mouth sometimes. We are almost ready for game number 2. Before we get there, though, a little bit of a preview and also a time to check in with the brackets. If you're just joining us right now, you missed a cracking game to start things off. Targa going through to the upper bracket final after defeating Happy in a 2-0 clean sweep. Next matchup will be Welmu versus StarDust. Joining me is Kalaris to talk about this particular game. Just a few words on that first game. Was that as surprising as the rest of us found it for you?
Well, after the talks that we had prior, a lot of people, were backing Targa. I was kind of wanting to stick to my guns and go with Happy and see what he would do, but Targa able to mix things up and do really well with it.
Okay, let's move on to our next game then. Our next matchup is the PvP battle. It is Welmu versus StarDust. Very different kind of players, very different kind of people. The 19-year-old from Finland, Neurosoft, they finally got him a shirt, which I'm pleased to see after our Season 2 finals. He's currently ranked 34th in the world, came through the round of 32 without any real problems. He goes head-to-head with the DreamHack Summer Champion, the man who won his first big tournament in the summer, even though he seems to have been around for a while, StarDust, who's ranked 32 in the world. And other than a little bit of a sticky kind of match against Kaz on the first game in the round of 32, almost plain sailing for him as well. But the interesting thing is how these two match up against each other. Never played each other before, but we've got history with Welmu. We know how good he was in Season 2. Didn't quite make it to the heights we thought he would, but 2-1 against Rain in the Season 2 Global Finals, 2-1 against MC as well, lost both those games. Still great results for a player who's still maturing from Finland, but is it enough to take down a man that's already claimed a major championship this year?
It's going to be really tough. I have to say, a lot of people, backing Welmu because he does have really, really good PvP, and Finnish PvP for me is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. So
it's like Quality Streets or something.
Yeah, man, it's pretty crazy. But aside from that, StarDust still has really, really good PvP. In DreamHacks and across tournaments in the WCS system, he's beaten most recently Hero 2-1 in consolidation matches in DreamHack, and then has beaten Hook 2-0, Elfie twice 2-0. Admittedly, his recent games against Elfie didn't go quite as well as he had planned, but still, he's still got really good PvP.
Gonna get some Elfie Pro Pools maybe tonight?
Some what, sorry?
Some Elfie Pro Pools today?
Some Elfie Pro Pools. One can dream, but I don't think Welmu's that crazy.
Yeah, well, he's finished after all. Ladies and gents, it's time for our second match of the evening, the other upper bracket game. It's a PvP. It's going to be a classic. I already know it's got it written all over it right now. It's Welmu versus StarDust. It's time to go over to your commentary team. For this one, we have Apollo and Grubby.
Thank you very much, Red Eye, and welcome over here to the casting desk. How are you doing, Grubby? Good to be back in the hot seat again.
And that's what I wanted to say. It's good to be back, man. It's been 10 months since I last casted.
It's a long time.
I don't know how to do it anymore.
You've got it. It's natural.
Please hold my hand while we do this.
I want you to hold my hand, because I would like to know everything that's going through your mind when you look at these two players and how the vetoes, first of all, are going to shape up. Before we talk about them specifically and how they match up, what do you think's going through? Well, I mean, what is going to be going through their minds when you look at the map pool? And you've been up there before.
Well, since it's a mirror matchup, it's all going to be down to preference. That's the very most basic way of saying it. You can get a little bit more specific and say, are they removing the new maps, which maybe they don't have as much practice on, or are they going to remove maps which are very expansion-based? If they do, maybe they like to keep it a little bit more aggressive. These are the things that we'll be looking out for.
All right, well, so we already have Akalon Waste removed from Welmu and Polar Knight here by StarDust. Is there anything that you can start to maybe develop from any of these vetoes? Maybe some playstyles that we could see? Frost as another one removed here by StarDust.
Well, StarDust is from Korea, and the winners there are really cold, so we can see that predilection to remove these two frosty maps.
Akalon Waste removed from Welmu alongside Yongsu as well. So we have Whirlwind, Derek, and Belshire Vestige. Obviously, depending on which order they play will determine how the series is paced out. But as the 3 maps for this series, what do you think? What's your opinion on this?
What I can say about this is that these 3 maps were also in previous season, whereas the other 4, was Akalon inside? No, it wasn't in the European version.
No, it's returned for Season 3, yeah.
Yeah, so those 4 maps are new in WCS EU, and they removed those. So they're saying, we're going to stick to our own guns. It's not going to be down to styles. I just want to be ultra familiar on this map so that my adaptive ability is going to be to the max.
All right, well, these two players know each other very well. They've actually hung out all day together. They went looking for a Starbucks coffee. They went searching around the city, hanging out. So they've obviously had time to talk with each other. And here are the 3 maps, by the way. Derelict Watcher to kick things off. Then Whirlwind will be our second map. And then, if needed, Belshir Vestige.
Okay, so Stardust picked Derelict Watcher. Now, Derelict Watcher is a very aggressive map. We've got Stargates there. We've got most of the DT plays that we've seen in PvP are on Derelict Watcher. We see a lot of 3-gate openers, not so much the expansion. And then, what is with these win percentages?
Look at these win percentages taken from only the World Championship Series so far. Of course, Stardust smashing his way through the Challenger Qualifier, Challenger League itself, and then doing rather well in the round of 32 as well. But those percentages are remarkable. 83% against other Protoss players so far.
You know what this looks like? This looks like a player who has developed his skills in some kind of special area where there's a lot of good players and then came abroad and found the opposition lacking.
Yeah, that's one way to put it. They are massively inflated stats. And remember that these are also taken from DreamHack tournaments. Any tournament that involves tier points, WCS points, that's massive stats.
That's really, really good.
Massive stats. Of course, Stardust being the DreamHack Summer Champion and playing so well at every other DreamHack so far. But here's Welmu. Not as intensive stats. 55% is relatively low, but also he's played some of the best PvP players. He played MC in Season 2, he played MC and Rain at the Season 2 finals, but this guy is well known in the European scene for having some of the best Protoss versus Protoss here.
Yeah, very analytical player, very good at learning from his mistakes. Of course, there's a potential that they're going to meet each other twice if the group ends up developing that way. Win percentages, of course, aren't everything. You start this game, you both start at 0, and you walk away with nothing or with the victory. That's all there is to it. Win percentages don't mean anything. So how are they going to play it?
Well, here is the map that you mentioned is the aggressive map. Derelict Watcher is a 2-player spawning map. You can spawn in the bottom left here is on this picture, and up to the top right, the 2 red arrows. And as you said, proxy structure is very common is the second point here as well. Protoss players do like to avoid this map, but when it comes to Protoss versus Protoss...
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be the same for both, right?
All right, so if this is going to be the aggressive map to start things off, and it is Stardust map, how important is it for Welmu to, take this map away from him in this best of 3?
I would say it's always important, but not particularly more important so, because I think Belshir Vestige is like the most standard map, which is still last. Welmu's going to feel confident on Whirlwind, so whatever happens here happens, and you just take each map by itself.
All right, well, we are about ready to get into this first map. The first map for these 2 players here today. This is, of course, the second game of the World Championship Series round of 16, and it is about time to get ready. The DreamHack Summer Champion, playing so well so far this year. Welmu's been making a big splash for himself in the recent times. And we are now almost ready to begin as down here, playing for My Insanity, really making them proud in the last couple of months. He goes by the name of StarDust. And he really has been making them proud. They're very happy with his performances, Grubby, and I think anybody would be, the way that he's been playing recently.
And they look like a really tight-knit team. It's nice to see that kind of team atmosphere.
All right, up here, spawning is the Blue Protoss, playing for Neurosoft. From Finland, he's Welmu. All right, so you talked a little bit about how Stardust is looked upon as, a kind of an aggressive player. Definitely is in some of the other matchups too, but in PvP, is he going to be playing maybe the similar style and an aggressive stance in this best of 3?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard actually to underline a player who is extremely good in StarCraft 2 and consistent with results, who has gotten there purely by defensive play. So in a sense, playing aggressive and pulling it off well is playing good. So it's not too surprising that we peg him as an aggressive player with win percentages that high. Now, there's one thing about Stardust which we have to keep an eye out for in this series.
Okay.
Stardust came with really refreshing, really good strategies in these tournaments that he has done really well in, particularly the DreamHack that he won. But after that, in the next DreamHacks, we saw a lot of the same strategies coming out. So it wasn't so much that he prepared special new strats, it's just that his style is that much outside the curve. Has he refreshed himself enough? And another question is that even necessary, or can he get there purely by his fundamentals? Let's see if he's still going to play the same styles.
You've come across Welmu many a time playing, whether it be on the ladder, online cups. I mean, what are some of his tendencies when he likes to play PvP though?
Welmu is a pretty good standard solid player. He likes going for Zealots and Archon combinations. Doesn't go too quickly on the Colossus boat. And he also likes expansion type of plays, where he can scout out the opponent, defend anything that's thrown at him, and just take it from there. He likes a little bit of DT play now and then, probably a little bit more than others. We saw some of that in the WCS Season 2 Global Finals in Germany just a few weeks ago. So we could see some DT play, but he's very good at a standard game. StarDust, he's probably going to try and pull him away from that kind of standard game. Maybe take some greedy risks, as we already see.
Yeah, one gate right over to the Stargate here. There's been no scout from Welmu at all, but there is a scout from StarDust here who's going to go inside the main base. There is a sentry that's been chrono boosted out here, bear in mind. And he is going to be able to pick up the double gateway. He's going to see one and assume there's going to be a second gas as well, and does get the full scout with every single probe inside here.
Yeah, so what StarDust is doing now, he's clicking both assimilators. He's seeing how much gas is missing. We've got 2,300 there, and we've got 2,260 there. So calculating on stream is very dangerous, but I think I got it, 440 gas. And basically what he's saying is like, okay, you went sentry first 2 gate. I know this type of build. You know what it is? It's an expansion build. Quick sentry for a possible hallucination or double force field. 2 stalkers to follow up to see if there's a 3 gate. If there's no 3 gate coming, no quick 3 gate, you'd put down that expansion and a robotics facility. Now he hasn't scouted, so StarDust's early gambit, where he went straight into Stargate before any unit, is gonna pay off pretty nice. StarDust pegged him on an expansion build, and he's going very quick Oracle. This is a very good build order for StarDust, working against Welmu, and he has the information because he scouted.
Wow, this could be a very fast game here, depending on how this works out. As we do have a probe on the other side of the map for StarDust, who's thrown down 2 gateways behind this. The Oracle is now out, and that's going to be headlining straight towards that main base. Here's the scout, seeing the probe. How much info is that, though, really?
It's pretty significant, along with the suspicious early Zealot Stalker move out, where he's potentially losing the Zealot. I think Welmu has a bit of an inkling there. That Scout Phoenix just missed the Oracle, and he sees no expansion, and he sees a Stalker moving out. I think he's getting a pretty good clue here, and he's going to get the crucial info right now.
All right, so upon this information, surely he must be able to peg that there's an Oracle out here. At least the threat is there. The Oracle's inside the main base and already getting chased away. Great reactions here from Welmu, and this has not been the best to start. The Photon Overcharge is activated inside the main base here. Was it necessary inside the main base, considering the Stalkers pushed this back?
No, I don't think it was, Apollo. That was a good question. I mean, he had the Stalkers in position, he was zoning out the Oracle, and I feel like he kind of was a little bit too trigger happy. We see StarDust expanding now, which I didn't expect, but I didn't think that Welmu needed to use that Photon Overcharge. I thought he needed it at the front, but in hindsight, it's going to be okay. StarDust is not pushing through with this attack. Welmu has survived a dangerous stage of this game thus far.
And a Zealot actually going to pick up some vital information here for Welmu.
Yeah.
Well, he should be able to run past here, and if he runs past, and he should be able to spot the Nexus here. So he actually realizes now, okay, my opponent's gone for this fast Oracle, it hasn't worked, he's fallen back on an expansion. This must put Welmu in a kind of comfortable position. He's got a faster Nexus, he's chrono boosted into it, he's thrown the Twilight Council down for some counterplay with his tech choice.
Yeah. Now, it gets really interesting here, Apollo, because you would think that with the quick Oracle doing no damage, that StarDust is behind, or even significantly behind. But the thing about these risky type of techs, the risk lies mainly in getting rushed early. It's not so bad if you don't do early game damage, because you're still going to get scouting info. And as we see here, he's getting a bunch of probes. So Welmu has to still play everything right here. One little mistake, and he could fall behind quite a bit.
Oracle escapes there with 1 hit point, and you look in the probe count there, it's equal exactly at this point, especially now that the Nexus just completed on the natural here for StarDust. Very equal, but tech choice is very different from each other at this point. We have a mortal production now beginning from StarDust from his robotics facility, and a Forge now beginning obviously to continue his upgrades, or start his upgrades should I say, but we have a Dark Shrine, and now the robotics facility coming in.
Yeah. That's a very big investment, and I would dare say it's a bigger investment than the Oracle. It got spotted. Actually, the observer showing it got spotted. So
look at this, it's been spotted, yeah.
Yeah, that's a reconfirmation. So he's definitely going to get ready for that kind of DT play, and that's a pretty big investment. Usually, the Dark Shrine doesn't mean that you're going to die. It's not that kind of investment. It means you're going to have less Archons in critical engagements. Less Archons, which means you can't kill Zealots as well. So StarDust, he's going to develop himself. He's going to get charged probably soon. And yeah.
So, I mean, if you were to peg a player that was in the lead in this race at the moment towards victory, is there anybody that you would say, or would you still say it's rather neck and neck? If it is neck and neck, then, who has advantages leaning in different directions? Maybe the gas count one for Welmu being lower?
Yeah, I think StarDust is a little bit ahead in the gas count, but not so much because his expansion was a little bit later. The one important thing is Welmu's Forge upgrade. Usually, you don't start your Forge in PvP until you see, oh, okay, you've got an expansion and so do I. That's when you say, we're going to go into that macro stage. We're both going to start our Forge and basically just chrono boost it like there's no tomorrow. Now, whatever happened, whatever investments are being made, it's going to get more and more diminutive as the game goes on. And the only thing that really stands as these disadvantages or advantages equal out is where your Forge is at. So Welmu is looking not to die and then eventually use the 2 attack upgrade against the 1 attack upgrade, or use the 3 against the 2.
Well, look at this high amount of gateways being added on here. I think he's currently sitting at 3, and he's adding on another 6.
Yep.
9 gateways here.
That's the Welmu sweet spot. People used to do 8. Welmu went to 10. He's like, the sweet spot is in the middle.
All right, so 9 gateways here for Welmu. That +2 attack, as you said, could be paying quite a big difference here in this game. Temple Archives now thrown down for StarDust. StarDust has not yet scouted. Both players, if you've been noticing throughout this game, consistently sending out hallucinated phoenixes, looking for as much information as fast as possible. And look at that, pinpoint scouting information on that 3rd Nexus here from StarDust on Welmu.
Yeah, very, very timely scouted there, and Welmu sees the lack of a 3rd Nexus there. So this is something I've seen Welmu done before. He makes army off of 3 gateways, adds a whole bunch of extra gateways, and then expands. It looks a little strange because his supply falls behind so far, and he's also over-pyloned a little bit, but very soon you'll see him catching up in supply. And that early Nexus, that's a slight bit of pressure on StarDust. Is StarDust just going to allow his own 3rd gas income arrive that much later behind Welmu, or is he going to feel a little itchy and attack? That's what Welmu wants, because he's got 9 gateways of production, and he's flexible with what he's going to spend it on.
Well, we do see StarDust moving out here. There's a lot of gas for Welmu in the bank here, and he spends it on 4 High Templar and then +3 attack being warped in. But this army movement moving out has actually not been spotted yet from Welmu. Hallucinated Phoenix for Welmu is checking the 3rd base from what I can see, and is going to look and be like, hey, wait a minute, your army was there just now, Grubby, where is it gone?
Yeah. And funny position that StarDust is waiting at. Like, he's not aggressively pushing forward, he's just standing in an awkward location. And he's got a pylon there, so look at Immortals. Welmu's opinion on Immortals is a little interesting, Apollo.
Yeah.
What do you think about Immortals in PvP?
When I play personally, I love to use a lot of Immortals, Grubby.
Me too.
But he has 0.
Yeah. And Welmu thinks that on big maps like this, where there's a lot of space, it's all about Zealots and Archons. It's not about Immortals. Immortals, what are they going to do against Zealots? That's usually the one they're attacking, and he's saving that 100 gas to make a 3rd more of an Archon, and he's saving the 250 minerals to make 2.5 more Zealots. So let's see how this engagement is going to go.
Movement there, right over the smoke. He all of a sudden sees this, and Golden Shield's activated here from Welmu, actively looking to get in here. The Mothership Core does put down a couple of time warps, good time warps here. And the Archons on the right-hand side doing a lot of damage. The Zealots are breaking through on the left flank, and they're actually going to start to get into these Immortals. Very close in supply, both players warping in. Yeah, it's almost identical so far, but it looks like Welmu is pushing forward. And well, these Immortals starting to take a lot of damage on this left-hand side. 3 Archons dealing out a lot too. And Welmu, with so many gateways behind it, more gateways than his opponent has at this point by a couple, 2 or 3 gateways, pushes his opponent back, and these 3 Immortals running home, and Welmu takes a massive lead in this game.
Yeah, and now you can wonder, what are these Immortals doing besides being trapped? Yeah, they didn't do much damage. As the Immortal player, you don't want to have an engagement forced early. There we go, GG.
GG. That game, to be honest, was so close, different advantages, different weaknesses from both players, but then one fight, and it's over.
Yeah. That's Derelict Watcher PvP, and Welmu is so good at those fundamentals. He attacks at the right time, with the right upgrades, the right positioning. They both had the war pins in. And there was a well-chosen fight. I think for part of that fight, +2 wasn't finished for StarDust.
Yeah.
And it looked like StarDust started better with the early time warp. But Zealot and Archon, Welmu showing his superior army composition knowledge there. StarDust needed to wait, let the Immortals gather up into a much bigger army until there's so many Zealots that they all can't be used in the fight at the same time. But that wasn't the case. It's so open, every Zealot can be used, and then they're going to be better than Immortals. Or so Welmu thinks.
So he thinks, and so far so good for him here,
Yeah.
picking up map number 1. I really feel that StarDust was caught must have been caught by surprise then. That moving up, he's just slowly moving around his third base, not really expecting anything. And then all of a sudden, just boom, out of the smoke, there's Welmu's army. And just caught out of position. Well, not really out of position, but just off guard.
Yeah.
More so than anything there.
No, that's well said. He was like, hey, I'm doing map control, am I not? My army is missing. I'm gathering up in the middle. I've got my proxy pylons ready. I'm pushing you around. You're probably scared. Well, suddenly you're in my face. That's not fair.
All right, well, here is the next map that we're going over to, Whirlwind. So Whirlwind, oh no, actually think about it. Derelict Watcher, was StarDust map choice. And now coming into this next map is Welmu's. This is obviously one of the bigger maps that we have in the map pool here for the WCS. 4 spawning locations.
Rotationally symmetric map creates small spawn. Okay, you can read.
That's right.
You know what's cool? Welmu beat StarDust on Derelict Watcher with a Whirlwind type of style. And StarDust used a Derelict Watcher type of style, but couldn't break through. And he's like, I don't have the nerve to try and make this into an all-in. It looks like it's not going to work. I'm going to counter-expand. Kind of equalized the game, so it wasn't like he was behind. But Welmu made that work. Is there any reason for Welmu not to do it again?
That's what we're going to have to find out here coming into this next map. If StarDust was casting with me, or more importantly, you were playing over there, Grubby, what would you be thinking in his shoes right now, coming into this next map on Whirlwind? What would be your thought process, going through, maybe analyzing the game real fast, thinking about what's coming up on this next map?
Okay.
What would you be thinking?
Welmu just showed supreme confidence and stability with this 2-gate expansion style. StarDust already tried something greedy, something with a big risk. It paid off in the sense that he didn't die, but he couldn't make it work for him. Is he going to try that again? It's an even bigger map. You know, I think he's going to go the eco route. Go 1-gate expand. That's what I expect from StarDust. Just take the expand a little bit faster.
All right, well, here we are now ready for map number 2 between these two players fighting to move on to the winners match of Group A here in the round of 16. And spawning down to the bottom left-hand side of Whirlwind, playing for Team My Insanity, goes by the name of StarDust. And he goes up against the blue Protoss player, currently leading this series, staring at the winners match currently. Can he close it up 2-0? He goes by the name of Welmu. Welmu struggled with a bit of an injury recently. It hurt his performance coming into the Season 2 finals, apparently, and it hurt his DreamHack Bucharest too. But he seems to be over it.
Yeah, he was recovering. I've been speaking to him a little bit over the last week or so. He was slowly recovering, seeking that attention that he needed. So far it didn't seem to hamper him too much.
All right, well, we do have an early probe movement out here by Welmu. And if I remember correctly, this wasn't what happened in the first map. He opted to completely blind scout, or not scout at all.
Yeah.
But he's moving out forward here.
What could it mean?
What could it mean? What could it mean? Are we going to see some proxy shenanigans, Grubby? Because we do have double gases coming down fast, and with the rotation that he's scouting in, it's actually perfect, because he's obviously going to go by process of elimination, finding his opponent's not top right. I'm sure you're grinning at me, and I'm sure you may have been in this position before, Grubby.
3 minus 1 is... yeah, so the great thing about it is after you scout 2 locations, by process of elimination, know where the opponent's going to be for a certainty. And then the opponent doesn't know that you are a scouting player. And that's kind of the cute thing about it. I think you're right, Apollo, master analyst. I would have you as my coach.
And would he ever predict that, as you said, if you were in StarDust shoes, as a player, do you ever say to yourself, in a PvP situation, all right, if I was StarDust and I lost against me just now, coming into Whirlwind, what happens if Welmu said maybe he does go for that 1-gate expansion? And what happens then if Welmu's already on top of that and is already thinking ahead of them, ahead of the curve?
That would be pretty sick, Sean.
That would be pretty sick, wouldn't it?
We're going deep here. We're going deep. WCS Europe, live.
But StarDust is scouting in the right way. He's scouting up there nice and fast.
So he's going to see a super fast mothership core. Twilight Council. I'll tell you what we're going to see. Quick DTs.
Does this probe see it, though? And what happens next? Does he cancel this if it's spotted?
I don't think so.
Oh, he didn't even see it. He does not see the Twilight Council here.
I find that to be a very unique probe movement. He might kind of conjecture what's going on with the quick mothership core, but not really. No, I don't think not really. Welmu, I think he's going to go for a Dark Shrine, second gateway, and a robotics facility, and then take like an expansion at 6:30. StarDust, he's making 2 Stalkers now, and his first Stalker's on the map, so that's a 3-gate type of pressure build.
Love the tweets here, guys. Make sure to hashtag WCS if you want to get your tweets in. I'm happy show that you're enjoying this game.
Yeah.
And look at this, though. I mean, surely is this going to be a 3-gateway play from StarDust? He's already seen his opponent very likely. He's teching at this point.
It looks like he's not adding the 3rd gateway. He's going to do 3 Stalkers, non-committal. Do what he can with pressure, get that information, which is the most reliable kind of information besides slipping a probe in, which he just did.
Oh, and he got the Dark Shrine Scout there, and immediately throws down the robotics facility.
But that's not the end of the game. Big question is going to be, is he going to kill any probes here? Is he going to activate the photon overcharge? Because that's going to make it a little bit harder for Welmu to expand later. 3 Stalkers are coming in, but photon overcharge is ready. Welmu wants to use it at the absolute last possible moment.
Well, he's going to have to put it down now. His Stalker's almost dead, and he's taking damage to his pylon there.
Oh, wow.
And that's the only pylon powering up the Cybercore and the gateways.
But this could be a gross overcommittal. He leaves it alive, and he has to come back. Lost 2 Stalkers and a Mothership Core shot.
Is it worth
huge.
Is it worth it to turn those off for a little bit here?
How much does a pylon cost? And the Dark Shrine isn't ready yet. Okay, that's a 10-second delay. A 10-second delay, but we've got pylons coming in here. StarDust, sure, he's going to have an observer, but is he going to have anything to kill it with? The DTs?
Well, 2 Stalkers just got warped in here for StarDust. Double pylons trying to get their way out here. The observer's halfway completed. 2 DTs getting warped in.
Oh my god, this is very unique. He chrono boosted his own Nexus, StarDust did, so the observer isn't out yet. These DTs are getting a few free swipes. I find this to be a strange decision from StarDust. And now the DTs, they have pretty good killing power. There we go, 1 Stalker's going down.
God, he almost lost the other one there as well.
And he saved 1 DT.
Alright, and the expansion has come down. For both players, bear in mind at this point, almost identical.
Alright, everyone take a deep breath. Let your heart rate settle down a little bit.
Calming down.
That was tense. My heart's beating quite fast. And I don't even know who I'm cheering for. I think for both, just like Show.
Just like Show. Respecting those Protoss players, knowing that they play such an intelligent race, right?
Yeah, I think Show, Moro, he had the same tweet. They have a lot of admiration for Protoss players. Because they play at a high level. Maybe a little bit higher than the rest of the races. No, I'm just kidding. Alright, so what's the status quo, man? Expansion timings are similar. Welmu, again, with the quick forge, he understands that from this point on, the game is going to go onwards, and he wants to get those forge upgrades going again.
I mean, the only difference here is that Immortal production has become quite a bit before Welmu has the option to even begin if he wants to, of course. Saying that he's playing a very, very different style. There's 2 Immortals out here very early on for StarDust.
So what I expect from StarDust is RoboBay. He's got the resources lined up for it, and if you can get 2 to 3 Immortals and the opponent has none, your Colossus timing can be very dangerous for a defending Zealot Archon player. Is StarDust going to throw up that RoboBay? We'll have to wait and see, but he could do a timing here.
Alright, well, he's decided to get a Warp Prism first of all, and he's also getting possible attack from that Forge. Hasn't decided on the Robotics Bay yet. Welmu, on the other hand, a very big fan of getting those upgrades out nice and fast, and is already chrono boosting into that Forge early. Already on double gas in his natural, already piling a lot of money when it comes to his gas. Already 400 and roughly 50, as I say, in the bank. Almost double, look at almost double in his gas income.
Yeah, this is very unique. You gotta be careful if you go up against some of the Korean cutthroat players like Avenge or Duck Duck. I've lost against them where they say like, okay, it looks like it's gonna go into a standard macro game, but really it's not. I'm just gonna keep only 10 probes on my natural and I'm gonna attack you right away. Not what's happening though. So Welmu with that very quick decision to just go straight into mass probes and gas is gonna go work out well for him.
This DT's got 5 kills now.
Oh my god.
6 kills. Photon overcharge was activated. There's no observer there, or at least there wasn't to begin with. Now there is. StarDust really needs to do something with these Immortals he's got in this Warp Prism. He's taking a lot of damage there. 44 probes to 36, I think that was.
38.
38, okay. 6 and 8 really look the same.
Yeah. Well, that's... and the Immortals didn't do anything yet except save a Photon Overcharge. What's Welmu's next move? Is he going to go full defensive mode? No, he's got a Warp Prism on the map himself. Are there going to be observers everywhere? This is a very nice player.
There's currently 2 observers, 1 on the natural and 1 out on the middle of the map. The Warp Prism is headed into the main base. There are, as you said, there aren't enough observers. The DTs walk straight in here.
There is a cannon though, so they have to make sure not to overstretch. He's going to go straight for it, and gets away without dying, but there's the Observer.
Yeah, well, that wasn't too successful there for Welmu. Does throw two DTs into the pit, but he does get another one on the natural, which pulls the evacuation again.
Oh my god. That was really great. The Observer came down, DT went there, killed 4 probes. And you know what's...
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
The most important part of this, I think you wanted to highlight it too. Look at StarDust's resources. He's got a lot of gas, he had enough minerals, but when did his robo-base start? It didn't start when he had 200. It started when he had enough time and attention for it because of the DT harass. So there's an unnecessary delay there on the robo-bay, and this isn't the kind of Colossus timing anymore that's going to be enough to kill off someone.
Welmu saw it too with the DTs in there. He started a mortal production.
Yeah. Yep.
He's got his +2 attack on the way, as well as Zealot Charge, and the Templar Archives close to finishing up as well. And with all his gateways being added on, he's seen exactly what's going on. And to be honest, StarDust really hasn't seen very much in this game. The Warp Prison was pushed away, the Observer kind of sees the army, but hasn't seen what's in there, what tech choice there is the Forge being chrono boosted into, and at this point, he has been able to kill a pylon there.
Yeah, not exactly enough to get back into it. Another thing is, he was so busy making robo-bays, losing mining time. Only now his Twilight Council is coming, so he's been having to do... Just to do anything with his Forge, he started upgrading armor, which isn't really all that significant in PvP. You don't generally want to get early armor. We're gonna get a 2-0 upgrade for Welmu, and we don't even have the second upgrade started yet for StarDust. So Welmu, you look at the supply, no, that's not the whole story. Welmu is very far ahead in the development of his tech.
It seems like StarDust just is not keeping up with Welmu at this point. There's only 3 gateways down for StarDust, with only 2 more being added on.
Wow.
A second robotics facility, very low production rate. There's a 3rd Nexus down from Welmu, and it's halfway to being complete. At this point, StarDust is going to see it very shortly with the Observer if he moves into position, and must be asking himself, what am I to do in this game? Am I going to attack with no product? Am I going to expand really late? And clearly Welmu's building an army to deal with Colossus the longer the game goes on.
Yeah, and now he's getting his own robo base, so he's not going to fall too far behind in that too. Now, what do you think StarDust needs to do here to get back into it? What's his chance?
I don't know, man, because right now I feel that he's in a very awkward position, and I really think that an attack wouldn't work, which leaves the only option left to look at an expansion play. And then maybe somehow we can get up to 200 supply and take it to the long game, and maybe look for superior engagement, right?
Yeah.
Something along those lines. But at this point, Welmu has eyes on everything. He has a Zealot looking at the army composition at the front door. He has the 3rd base on lockdown, like an Eagle pylon.
Eagle-eye pylon.
That's looking to see if that's down. He's got his second robotics facility on the way and simply has more units and a better economy and better setup. I can't look at the moment with StarDust having an advantage in any area.
That's true, except Colossus count. So I see one dog's chance here for StarDust. The way that Colossus beats superior upgrades, superior army size, and superior economy, there's one chance really, and it's kind of a 1 in 15 chance. You gotta get that money time warp on the opponent and just have your Colossus shooting with impunity without being shot back at all. Is that gonna be able to be happening here? Welmu has to keep his eyes open. He's got control of this game. If he sees StarDust army movement and he's monitoring it closely and he sets himself up, there's no way he can lose this game. But StarDust, he's gonna try and force something. He's gonna try to pull Welmu out of position, and that's what's happening right now.
If one unit can help with the comeback, it's going to be the Warp Prism in this matchup, isn't it?
Yeah.
As being able to get some harassment down, pull your opponent out of position, as you say. 3rd Nexus has come down here from StarDust, but he's getting a lot of Colossus now.
Yeah.
He's currently staring at 5 with 2 in production. His opponent has a single 1 and only 2 Immortals.
And look at that positioning of the 3rd base. It's very smart. Welmu thinks that maybe there's no 3rd at all because the pylon is there, so he's kind of working in the dark. He's not really been scouting as much as he should. And what happens when StarDust is going to attack? These Colossus can shoot up the high ground. So StarDust has range 8 free around this ramp. So Welmu has a very difficult position here. With a time warp there to the top right of those red Colossi, it's looking very hard for Welmu to engage here. And I'm thinking, maybe he should sacrifice this base. I know it sounds a little crazy, but if he doesn't get the kind of Zerg-like smiley face spread around the Colossi, he's going to have trouble engaging, even though he has superior upgrades.
Well, +2 attack is almost going to be completed here as well. He'd actually take an upgrade lead. +2 attack and the 1 armor that he got earlier on. Welmu has not gotten +3 attack in this game. One thing to note, though, the probe count is very, very different. 68 for Welmu, a much better economy compared to his opponent who's only at 49. Much, much lower.
but strangely enough, the army size for StarDust is slightly bigger, just ever so slightly bigger. Upgrades are superior now for StarDust, so this army is looking very good for StarDust. What's going to happen?
Well, currently it looks like Welmu is holding the high ground. These Colossus dealing out so much damage at this point, though. But is Welmu's army going to stand strong? Consistently reinforcing behind it. StarDust is starting to lose his front wall. He's starting to lose a couple of DTs in the middle. 4 DTs there.
And no observer.
No observer dealing out a lot of damage.
And a counter-attack there by Welmu. You know that nasty feeling of like, why is all my army disappearing and I don't know why? Oh
Yeah.
no, you had DTs mixed in. It's a terrible facepalm kind of feeling. It kind of looks like what happened just now.
And all of a sudden, Welmu is up to 145 supply again compared to his opponents at 109. And now the probe count really comes to shine.
Yeah.
39 probes for StarDust, who's losing probes to DTs again here, compared to 68 for Welmu, who's sitting on 3 bases. He's got a 4th Nexus on the way as well. And Welmu commanding this game. And, well, StarDust's one opportunity with the high Colossus count has fallen away.
Yeah, you're right. That was the one opportunity. It wasn't a kind of back and forth game, because that probe count is going to matter only after the first fight.
Yeah.
StarDust needed to end it completely, definitively. And you can't without an observer against a known Dark Shrine. Probably Welmu spent some effort trying to focus down that observer, and StarDust didn't really notice it. And that's enough for Welmu to just secure his victory there. Double probe count. Wow.
Yeah, currently leading this best of 3 series. Double probe count just about. A massive, massive supply advantage, and he's just building whatever he likes. He's got his +3 attack finally on the way to try to catch up, but at this point, when the army size is this different, do upgrades really come into factor is a question we all have to ask ourselves, and to be honest, we should really all know the question is DTs continue to harass here into the natural.
It's great having an observer, but the DTs are just beating out Zealots by themselves.
And Welmu's looking for a position on that 3rd base. He's looking to close the game here. He's hoping his opponent comes back with his army, considering nothing else can deal with these DTs. His DTs even go to work on Colossus here. Hopefully StarDust brings back his army, and he's actually... Oh, he gets a Colossus with DTs. What can stop these bad boys?
What madness is this? 3 DTs with the red life. Challenged the Colossus, and they came out victorious. Well, one of them anyway.
And Welmu says, if you're not going to move from the high ground, then fair enough, you keep that hill. You keep the flag there, because I'll come around from a different angle. And he's looking to try to break this natural, taking the low ground. Maybe his opponent comes down into the open now. Sharks in the water here as Welmu waits for his opponent to come to deal with the Zealots here. He's waiting eagerly, wants to finish the game, wants to end it in one glorious fight. But his opponent's not coming out. He's not coming out at all.
Sending some harass Immortals to deal with the defensive Archons. A little bit silly, but...
And here StarDust finally comes down the hill, and he sees the army and goes straight back up again. But he has to go.
Yeah. Welmu's just kind of got him in a really tough position. Oh, those Immortals died fast.
Oh, is Welmu going back around to take the high ground now?
Oh, I think you're right. If he can get position first, he's going to get a good position.
It's a race against time here. He's going to rush up there. He's going to kill the rocks first of all, so he's not going to rush. But here, StarDust does maintain the high ground once again. And of course, maintaining the high ground makes a big difference in these fights. Being able to get the massive amount of burst damage and splash damage from these Colossus to units trying to get up that ramp.
Yeah. Now, Welmu, he's cleverly waiting for his +3 attack upgrade to finish. And as it's about to finish, I think it's time. He doesn't care what position it's going to be anymore. He's just going to attack no matter what, or is he?
Well, +3 attack is now finished, but he is going to move back once again, making sure he can, confirm that he is going to be the one that moves into the winner's match. The time warps come in and everything is slowed down, and Welmu comes with the Judge Hammer, slams it down on the table and says, well, StarDust, good effort, but, my excellence, my PvP, my matchup, my race, I'm going to be going on to the winner's match, and he cleans up that army very fast.
Well played.
Well played from Welmu, an excellent PvP display once again. Really living up to the name that he has of having one of the best Protoss mirrors in Europe, and continues to show.
Yeah. Wow, I didn't expect that.
Didn't expect that, did you?
No, I mean,
that was a surprise.
I knew that Welmu is good at PvP, but StarDust is too. Amazing win percentages. Welmu made it look really solid. Did he make any major mistakes? I'll have trouble to point them out, if any.
Yeah, congratulations to Welmu. Does move on to the winner's match. He's not through the round of 16 yet, as of course he'll be waiting for his opponent now in the winner's match. Targa. Welmu Targa will be the winner's match. StarDust now will go up against Happy for elimination in day 1, Group A here of the round of 16. And here we do have the winning moment of both players. And I think StarDust, to be honest, no matter what we see, Grubby, I think he's going to be knowing that this was going to be the end.
Yeah, it's the winning moment. It's not the point where the game was won, but yeah, it's the last blow. Game where the point was won was too much consecutive Dark Templar damage. Wow. He just kept going in there over and over and over. Welmu practices that style a lot, man, and you can see.
He used it a lot in Season 2. He's back with it in Season 3. He's already beaten Bling in the round of 32 with the PvP, and he's beaten another opponent here in the round of 16 in StarDust. So, guys, hope you enjoyed our cast. Hope you enjoyed casting. First time in 10 months,
Good to be back.
And I'm sure you'll be doing a lot more, not just today, but for the rest of the week. It's now time for the winner's interview. Take it away, Red Eye.
Something to get used to.
Thanks very much, guys. Yeah, with Welmu, who has just won 2-0. And I was I was joking with you, like when you came on. What are you doing here, round of 16?
Well, yeah, I just came to play some games here and some StarCraft here. It's nice. Yeah.
Okay, and how'd it go?
Yeah, pretty well. First games I won 2-0, so yeah, quite good.
I don't know if that worked or not, but we were having a bit of fun before we came on air. Let's get back to the serious business. So, really good player in StarDust to play. When you looked at the group, did you go, oh no, not another PvP against a really good Korean?
Well, I'm always quite confident with my PvP, but StarDust is a really strong player. So yeah, I wasn't too confident because he's so good, but yeah, it went well.
How much did the experience of Season 2 help you today? Because when we look back at that, your story of coming through, I think 4 qualifiers, challenger after challenger match through to Premier League, and then you go all the way to the Season 2 Global Finals and you lose 2-1 to Reign and 2-1 to MC, and then you kind of come away empty-handed, and that felt to me like that wasn't very representative of what you could do. I mean, it's great you've taken a map off 2 great players, but did that whole experience still add up for you? Have you come back in round of 16 really confident now?
Yeah, it's actually helped a lot. Like last time when I played both season finals and here, I was so nervous, like just sweating all over and just hands, shaking all the time. Now it was a bit better. So like getting a little bit used to this setting already. So yeah, it helped a lot. And also, I haven't played many like big offline events before. Like that also helped a lot since it's different environment completely, and also you have to have a little bit different mindset when going on. So yeah, it helped really tons.
All right, let's talk me through the games. Map 1. What did you set out to do in Map 1, and did it work out for you in the way you thought it would?
Well, I decided I just want to try out how StarDust is playing. Like he has kind of pretty many builds he has, and I just wanted to open up safe and see how he does and like how he's playing. And yeah, the start was like, okay for both. Maybe I'm getting a little bit ahead at the start. And I'm really confident in that map. Like I have in practice almost 100% PvP on that map. So I was like really confident. I made a couple of mistakes, but it was still fine. And yeah, the game I got quite easy win. And second game, I just decided to go also for like quite standard game. And yeah, I managed to do a lot of damage with my DTs and just managed to make a lot of damage out of him. I managed to defend his first push. I scouted his Colossus play a little bit late. I was a little bit panicking. I should have added my own Colossus earlier. I saw the Colossus play, but I didn't react right away. So yeah, I was a little bit late on that, but I was barely able to, with help of DTs, to hold the first attack, and then I was in good position, and yeah, I won.
You definitely did. You're also very happy today. I'm pleased to see that. I don't want to go into too much depth because I know it's very personal to you, but you've had some health issues over the last year or so, and I know that you've struggled in between the 2 seasons. Are you all better now? You all good?
Yeah, I'm good now. I had long-time disease, which got activated after the VCS games, and yeah, I had to get some medicine for it, and now just recently it will be good, at least for now. Yeah, and yeah, it's it's kind of disappointing. For the season finals, I couldn't practice at all for a whole week before the season finals, so I was very disappointed. I couldn't maybe show my full skill at the season finals. But yeah, now that I'm healthy again and now starting to get more practice, after DreamHack, I got really big motivation boost. Also when I was sick, I got a little bit, my motivation went down a little bit. I don't know why, it just went. But after DreamHack, I felt like I got the motivation boost back. And last Sunday, I played tons of games. And I felt I have now much better motivation. So yeah.
Good. One last question before we go over to Kalaris and he breaks down an awesome couple of games from you. Is it in the back of your mind or even the front of your mind right now about BlizzCon, or is that just too far away to think about?
Yeah, I have actually talked about it a little bit. Like I took a look at the statistics, what you need to get to sub 16. So like it's like I had to be first or second this season. So yeah, I think it would be cool to play in BlizzCon, you know, since I have the possibility. So yeah, if I manage to get now to top 8, I will be practicing a lot to get top 2 this season. That's my aim.
Well, best of luck. Thank you very much, ladies and gents. Winner of our second game, going head-to-head with Targa for the place in the round of 8 for a second consecutive season. It is Welmu. For now, we're going to break down the game with Kalaris.
Thanks very much, Paul. Nice to hear from Welmu as always, him advancing on 2-0. Game number 2 really does show that people have to be a little bit fearful of Welmu's Dark Templar usage. He seems to find great solace in it. But moving back onto game number 1, I just want to talk a little bit about how this game unfolded in general. Now, it was abundantly clear to me that at the very, very beginning of this game, that this game had actually already happened in a little bit of a shorter context in the form of Welmu versus Bling in the round of 32. Welmu has been using this 2-gateway expand play on Derelict Watcher over those past 2 games. And unfortunately for Bling, who also opened up Stargate in his round of 32 match, was unable to pip Welmu at the post and actually fell once he was trying to bust up the ramp. StarDust, though, he was able to play out of this a little bit better. He was able to eventually get these bases up, try and go toe-to-toe with his opponent in terms of his macro, in terms of this third base now on the way. But he did also just incorporate the standard composition of these Immortals. And as our casters Grubby and Apollo already previously pointed out, this isn't exactly what Welmu was doing. Welmu found a little bit more in heavier Zealot compositions. And on a map like this, it certainly did work out really, really well. Now, with this, now if we can scroll on just a little bit further to the final engagement, Welmu, obviously with a very heavy Zealot composition, was going to do pretty well if he was able to close the gap with the Immortals. Now, the Zealots, once they were actually moving forwards here, and with the R compositioning that it is against this army that was slowly pinning itself up against the third wall up next to this third base, this isn't really good engagement spot here for StarDust at all. Neither were the Zealots too good a position here for Welmu at the back. So this time warp is really a little bit more of a desperation move for StarDust than anything, because he realizes that his army is not really in the best of positions over here as well. Time warps here slowing down the Immortals, really not going to help out StarDust in any kind of mobility situations at all, especially when it's pinned up against this. And from that point on, Welmu just crushed through with a very, very impressive combination of units. Now, I do want to say that going into game number 2, StarDust did a really cool deviation in his play, very, very on the fly, very, very quick, which was working in Colossi a little bit faster, just to assume that maybe his opponent wasn't going for Immortals, sticking with the same kind of composition. But then, in the end, obviously, we did see the result. So that's going to do it from the analysis for me. Thank you. And I shall send it over to the good Sir Redeye.
Thank you very much, James. Nicely broken down game of a really, really good and interesting PvP. I'm not the greatest fan, I have to admit, playing a Terran, of course, the PvP. But I tell you what, Grubby and Apollo make it interesting, don't they? And Welmu and StarDust certainly did as well. What a fantastic second game we've had from Group A. And next up, we have the final, the upper bracket final. The winner will claim their place in the quarterfinals of Season 3 for WCS Europe Premier League. And it will either be Targa or Welmu. It's probably not the final that you or I thought it would be. Don't forget, of course, we do have plenty to come literally in the show. We have the lower bracket and, of course, a second game to come up to decide who else goes through into that quarterfinal, and you can tell us who you think is going to go through via the usual channels on social media. Make sure you use the hashtag #WCS. Make sure you're following StarCraft on both Facebook and on Twitter. And if you're not tuned in on starcraft2.com/WCS, what on earth is wrong with you? We'll take a quick break. When we come back, our winners final, it'll be Welmu versus Targa.
Don't play, start